It sat there, huddled by the desk, almost in tatters. I could see the stark outline of what used to be a smooth satin fabric, covered in a strange design of circles and crosses. The fabric flapped lazily in the slight breeze coming from the door opposite that had been slightly left ajar. From that door, a light shone, bright and white. It saturated whatever it touched in such a way that you would think the complete essence of an object was being pulled through into the room. Through this light, the fabric shines brightly, only for but a moment, until the breeze casts it back into the shadows. Within these fleeting moments, I could see the absolute beauty and work that lay within each and every thread. I could see the love and care of the ones who had once owned it. I could see the sweat and desperation of the ones who had made it. Both cared greatly for the fabric and the subsequent construction thereof. However, they cared for separate reasons. The owners, however posh and decadent their lifestyles had been, were not clouded with naivety or ignorance for which they had given their coin. They loved and cherished every piece as if they were to be buried in it, some of which I assume would actually make it to the grave with them. As I looked deeper, the brilliance of the light turned into the sparkling white smile of a man dressed in a posh suit. He was accompanied by a woman adorned in the same type of fabric that now lay before me. They were dancing. Their bodies moved just as lazily as the fabric had. As they swayed and moved, so did I. I could feel myself catching their rhythm and even sharing in the love that they so obviously had for one another. I could feel a warmness I hadn't felt since I was a child. Suddenly, I made a misstep, and my rhythm no longer matched theirs. They looked towards me, and I could see that they were frightened. I began to speak, but I didn't get the chance. The fabric had already made its way back into the shadows. Their love, their dance, hell, even their lives, were all made possible by the beauty that they saw inside these threads. However, I cannot say the same for the women who were tasked to produce them. As the fabric came back within the light, my senses were assaulted with what I could only describe as hell in the modest of terms. It all came at me at once, and all at once, I was there, living it. I could hear it all around me. My God, I could smell it. The thick sonic booms that struck like lightning on bare skin, the cries that bellowed out and the ones that were cut short, the putrid stench of stale linen and even staler blood. It coated the walls like a Jackson Pollock painting. There were many hues, but they were all just different shades of red. I looked down at my hands and saw that they were much older than I remembered them being. They were thick in the joints from chronic arthritis and leathery from the years of abuse. I looked over to my right, and there sat a woman beside me. She was long dead. However, her body continued to shake and spasm as bits of flesh ripped from her pus-filled back. They were still whipping her. I could feel the bits of viscera hit the sides of my face and slide down the ground with a thick thud. Get back to work. A man grabbed my shoulder and pushed me to the ground. I felt my old bones give out instantly as they shattered upon impact. Dazed and writhing in pain, I managed to look up at the man. He was raising his boot to finish what he had started. Just as his foot came down, it all went black. The fabric was again back inside the shadows. I could see something in the twilight. Somewhere off in the distance of outer space was a black mass. At first, I mistook it for a celestial body, maybe another planet. But upon closer inspection with my telescope, I could see it was anything but. Honestly, it just didn't look right. Or rather, it didn't look real. Circular in nature and mostly black, it looked almost two-dimensional in the sky. Not in the way that we see in two dimensions either. It looked like someone pulled out a marker and just put a black dot in the sky. The only way I knew it was, in fact, three-dimensional was with a slight glare that came off it during the hours of twilight. The sun bounced off of it in unnatural directions at this time, and at this time alone. Any other time of day it looked almost cartoonish, and at night it blended in perfectly with the blackness in between the stars. It was about a month ago when I first saw it. It sat unmoving in the sky, and I thought I had a blotch on my telescope. However, after removing the lens and cleaning it, I could still see the black mass clear as day. Since then, it has gotten bigger in the sky. At first, I didn't know what to make of it. I researched everything relevant to what I was seeing and found nothing that could explain it away. So I took to the internet and asked around amateur astronomy message boards. Most laughed it off as me being a troll, but some took it seriously and even found it in the sky for themselves. That's around the time that I noticed it was growing in size. The others did as well, and we debated about what it was and the odd behavior it exhibited. We watched day and night, and the more we watched, the more it grew. It went from the size of a pencil tip to the size of about a dime in a month. All our speculation was met with only unfounded theories and more questions than answers. Until about a week ago, the forums were all buzzing about a post from a prominent user, and the conversation that followed. Neptune's gone. Ajax 22. Get real, dweeb. Astro Boy 123. He isn't wrong. It's really gone. Planet Guy 3244. My God, what's going on? Astro Boy 123. Look at the size of the mass, though. Ajax 22. I think it ate the planet. Planet Guy 3244. I instantly left my computer and looked out my telescope to find Neptune. And sure enough, it was nowhere to be seen. In its place was a black mass, bigger than ever. It seemed like it had swallowed the planet whole. The more I looked, the better I could make out something within its dark circumference. What I thought was the glare from the sun now looked like sharp ripples reflecting back onto themselves. The deep pool of black in the center now had a purplish perimeter that surrounded the jet black inside that was followed by the sharp ripples. Finally, ending in the light red outline that was hard to make out from the yellowish and red hues of the twilight sky. The shapes looked eerily familiar, which unsettled me deeply, though I didn't know why. There was just something about what I was looking at that sent chills running down my spine and moistened my brow with sweat. Somehow I knew that what floated there in the sky was something more than just otherworldly. It was just wrong. Not only did I feel like the black mass wasn't supposed to be there, I felt like it shouldn't have existed at all. Yet that same eerie familiarity persisted and still the reason why it eluded me. That is, until I saw it blink.